And good evening to you, East Alabama and West Georgia. We are spending a lot of time together during all this cold weather. We're going to try to get through this, and we're going to spend the next 30 minutes or so talking about the cold temperatures now. All the precipitation is gone. There's no chance of seeing any snow or freezing rain or any more sleet or any of that nasty stuff. Now we've got to deal with the cold temperatures. And it is going to be downright brutal. It already is. And it's going to get even colder before the sun rises tomorrow morning. So just hope you guys will have a good time with us and hang in there. We're going to show you some temperatures. We're going to talk about some things. First thing I want to show you this evening is the Abominable Snowman. This is Armageddon. This was downtown Wedowee, I think, is what I saw on Facebook earlier today. So we didn't have this across East Alabama and West Georgia, though folks up there North Alabama from Coleman North probably thought this was the deal because it was nasty up there. They had a lot of accidents. There were also a lot of accidents on I-20. There were even some accidents down on I-85 in Montgomery this morning as well. I was just looking at the Alabama Department of Transportation's website, and they had a tremendous number of accidents that were reported today. Southwest Alabama, believe it or not, down way southwest Alabama, all the way back up to Montgomery, and then pretty much up I-65 all the way to the Tennessee state line, and especially across the northern one quarter of the state of Alabama. There were just hundreds of automobile accidents because of the icing on the roads last night and this morning, and I think there were probably some spotty problems across East Alabama and West Georgia as that precipitation moved in after about 4 a.m. this morning. It moved across East Alabama and West Georgia. Even had some light freezing precipitation noted in West Atlanta this morning after sunrise. Oddly enough, up here in Northeast Georgia, we had zero icing issues. It was literally in the upper 30s this morning when I went to work. It wasn't even below freezing. But then about 8 or 9 o'clock this morning, the bottom dropped out. It's just steadily got cold all day long. Thank goodness we did have a little sun this afternoon. So any icing that remained on the roadways across East Alabama and West Georgia, with that sunlight and the wind that we had this afternoon, all the roads should be dried up pretty good now. There could be some places where the residual water that maybe is running off of a hillside or a bank, maybe that gets out there on the side of the road. Of course, any water at all is going to freeze tonight. It's already frozen. Because it is a frozen tundra out there this evening. But I don't expect that to be a problem anywhere across East Alabama and West Georgia. I think there probably still is some travel issues, north of Coleman, but to be on the safe side, I'd say north of Birmingham. There probably is still a few spotted areas of problems out there. But across East Alabama and West Georgia, I think we're pretty good. But now we're going to have to deal with an extended period of very cold temperatures. It's going to be cold tonight, and here's what we're looking at. Yeah, we're talking about across East Alabama and West Georgia, most locations are looking at 12 to 15 degrees is going to be your overnight low, and that's going to vary from place to place. Some of the higher ridge tops may get a little bit colder. Some of the deep valleys may get a little bit colder. So it wouldn't surprise me to see temperatures ranging anywhere from about 9, 10, 11 degrees up to around 13 or 14 degrees. They can vary widely across the East Alabama, Chattahoochee Valley area right there down the Alabama-Georgia state line. But look at that stuff up there, North Alabama. We're talking -1 in Muscle Shoals. That is the projected overnight low. Now, understand they have snowpack up there. They have that snow covering the ground. So all of this air coming out of Alaska and out of Canada that's moving down into the southeastern United States with this Arctic blast. Typically what happens, we get these all the time during the winter, but by the time that cold air makes it into the southeastern United States, it has moderated. We've got good snow cover from the deep south all the way north to the Arctic. And so the air's not moderating as it comes south because you have that snowpack. And up there in Tennessee, extreme northwest Alabama, northern Mississippi, they still have snow on the ground. So look out. We're talking 1 below zero, the overnight low tonight up in Muscle Shoals. That just hurts to even say it, much less have to deal with it. Huntsville's going to about 4 tonight. Gadsden will hit 8. Rome's going to 9. We're looking at 10 degrees up there close to the Georgia-Tennessee state line, maybe 8 degrees at Chattanooga. We're looking at 6 degrees in Blairsville by the time the sun comes up tomorrow morning. We're probably around 10 degrees here at the Dr. Don Ponderosa on top of Waka Mountain, and its wind chill's going to be even worse than that. These are actual temperatures you're looking at there on the screen. And then again, we're talking somewhere around 12, 13, 14 degrees for most locations across East Alabama and West Georgia. You factor in that wind. Now, it's not howling at 20 to 25, which is what the prediction was. Thank goodness it's not doing that at the moment. But we're still looking at wind chill factors in the single digits, and you may hit 0 from time to time across East Alabama and West Georgia. So you step outside, and it's going to feel like what it actually is up there in extreme northwest Alabama. So, you know what? After you get below about 32 degrees, it doesn't matter. It's cold. Either way, it is just downright cold out there tonight. You don't want to get caught out in this stuff. You want to make sure that if you have to go outside, it's for very brief periods of time. Don't stay out there for an extended period because hypothermia and frostbite is a real deal. You live in the South and you hear about that, but we don't experience that very often here in the South. I did spend 2 years in Chicago, Illinois, and I learned what that is all about. When you wind chill factor is 45 degrees below zero, and you step outside, and within about 3 seconds, your skin freezes. Actually lived through that. So I'm telling you, it's a real thing, and it will be cold enough tonight. Now, it's not going to happen in 3 seconds, but not in Alabama or Georgia. But if you're outside for a prolonged period of time, you could be exposed to frostbite and hypothermia. So be real mindful of that and don't go outside and get yourself in trouble. If you're going to be traveling out there on the roadways tonight, as far as ice is concerned, across most locations south of I-20, I think you're fine. But if you're going to be in your automobile, make sure you carry an extra blanket with you, an extra coat. Make sure you got some water in that automobile. Make sure your cell phone is fully charged. Just in case, for whatever reason, you do get stranded, you'll at least have enough supplies with you to make it through until someone can get to you. You don't want to get caught out in this stuff tonight. It's just brutal out there. I mean, that's about the only thing you can say about it. So that's your overnight lows. Tomorrow is going to feel like a tropical heat wave. We may make it a little above 32. I mean, we're looking at 39 maybe over there in LaGrange. So that's going to feel like short sleeve weather compared to what we've got tonight. We're probably looking at the mid-30s up there around Birmingham. I think you got to go way up there to Huntsville and back over toward Muscle Shoals to stay at or below freezing during the daylight hours tomorrow. So anything that does freeze tonight it's not going to completely thaw out because even at 39, 40 degrees, you got to stay there for several hours for things to thaw. So, water or ice that's in shaded, protected areas probably won't thaw that much tomorrow. But if you got sunlight hitting a particular area, then the ice should go away tomorrow for sure. And then let's run over here to the 6-day forecast because I want to show you what's down the road. And then we'll come back and talk about some safety tips. So there's Wednesday. We're looking at a high temperature in most locations across East Alabama and West Georgia at about 40 degrees. We'll head back down into the low 20s for overnight lows tomorrow night. And then on Thursday will be the warmest of the several days ahead. We'll make it to almost 50 degrees on Thursday. It's going to kind of be like what we had on Sunday, and for the most part on Monday, when everybody was saying, there's no way we're going to get any frozen precipitation. It's too warm. And you're going to think that again on Thursday. And we're not going to get frozen precipitation Thursday night. We will have another front move through. It will rain. And this will happen Thursday night, probably midnight or so into the pre-dawn hours of Friday morning. And it's going to be a cold rain. We're talking 39 will be your overnight low. So we're not, excuse me. So we're not looking at any type of frozen precipitation here. We're just looking at a very cold rain. And then on Friday, here comes another reinforcing cold front. 43 will be your high during the day on Friday, and we're headed for 14 degrees on Friday night. Then on Saturday, we're going to hang out right there around freezing. Maybe 34, 35 will be the high, and back down to 16 degrees Saturday night. Then on Sunday, we'll make it up into the low 40s, back down to 24 on Sunday night. And then I think there is a little light at the end of the tunnel. We'll warm up to around 50 next Monday. Then I think we stay for daytime highs. I think we stay in the 50s and 60s for the remainder of next week. We're going to be, flirting with 32 a couple of nights during the week, but I don't see any sign of another Arctic outbreak on the way. So at least for next week, I think this pattern's going to change just a little bit, and we're maybe actually going to go warmer than usual for next week. The long-range 6 to 10-day forecast and even the 14-day forecast is suggesting that we will be warmer than usual as we kick off next week, and for the balance of next week, it will stay that way. So no signals from the Arctic that we have any more Arctic air coming after we get through with this bout of old man winter through Sunday. But now understand, we've still got the entire, the signals right now are telling us that no more Arctic outbreaks for the remainder of January. Of course, that could change. But we've still got the entire month of February and the entire month of March to go. So we're really just getting started with our winter here across East Alabama and West Georgia. And, a lot of times when we get those bigger snows, it actually happens in March. So we got a long way to go. Just don't see any signs of any more serious Arctic outbreaks in the foreseeable future for East Alabama and West Georgia. Now let's talk about some things you can do tonight to try to keep from having to call the plumber tomorrow morning. You want to make sure that you eliminate as much of the cold air source as you possibly can. It's the wind chill. It's the wind and those sub-freezing temperatures that causes your pipes to freeze. So you want to fix those, if you have a crawl space under your house, like if your house is off the ground like mine is, you want to make sure you've got it closed in as best you can so you keep that cold wind out from under your home, which is where most of you probably, that's where your plumbing is. So you got to keep those pipes from being exposed to that cold, icy wind. That's what causes the pipes to freeze. And you need to know how to shut off your water. You need to know where your water main is. Most of the time, it's out in your front yard, close to the street if you have county or city water. If you're on a well, obviously it's going to be at the pump house. But you need to know where that shutoff valve is, and you need to make sure you have one of those tools so that you can turn your water off. You get a busted pipe in your house, you need to be able to know how to go out there and turn that water off yourself instead of calling a plumber and waiting 6, 7, 10 hours or 2 days for them to be able to show up, because they're going to be overwhelmed tomorrow morning. I can almost guarantee you. So very important. Know where your water cutoff valve is and have a tool to cut it off. Now, if you don't have one of those tools, you can use a wrench to do it. Get creative. There are several ways. Just because you don't have a tool doesn't mean you can't get it turned off. You can. You just may have to work at it just a little bit. Of course, obviously, wrap your pipes with insulation. If you were going to do that, that should have already been done. If you have pipes that run through cabinets, like especially your kitchen sink, you have those water supply lines that come up through the floor and they go up through the back of your cabinet up to your sink. When you go to bed tonight, open those cabinet doors so that the warm air can get up in those cabinets and keep your pipes from freezing. Also, don't leave your water running, leave it dripping. When you open that faucet and you let it run where it's like a steady stream, if everybody does that, the first thing that's going to happen is going to lower the water pressure for the entire area, which creates problems in and of itself with fire protection, and everybody else has lower water pressure because everybody's got their faucets running. Don't leave it running, leave it dripping. As long as that water is moving through your pipes, it's not going to freeze. It doesn't have to be a river flow. Just a steady drip is all you need to do. Make sure you do that with all of your faucets, especially if you have an older home and maybe it's not as well insulated as a newer home and it's just a little drafty. Our home is that way. It's just drafty. It is what it is. So we have to leave that water dripping when we go to bed at night to make sure we don't freeze up. So those are just some things you can do to keep your plumbing from freezing up and causing you to have a busted water pipe and a lot of damage in your home. Just be very mindful about all of that. Space heaters, folks, this is something I want to talk about. A lot of folks use space heaters, the electric space heaters, to heat with as supplemental heat when it gets extra cold. And there's nothing wrong with that, but do not, number one, do not leave them unattended. Number two, do not use an extension cord. Do not plug a space heater into an extension cord. I was on my home from work this afternoon, and I was listening to a News Talk channel out of Atlanta, and that was their lead story. And one of the things they were talking about, there are 1,700 residential structure fires per year that's caused by space heaters running off of an extension cord. It's unsafe. Don't do that. Make sure there's plenty of space between that space heater and the wall or the curtains, or make sure there's nothing close to it that can catch fire, that'll get too hot. And you gotta keep an eye on that space heater. That's not something you can turn on and go off and leave. It's just not designed for that. So be very mindful of electric space heaters and extension cords. That's a major no-no. Also, those kerosene heaters. I know that some folks like to run those things indoors, but understand that's very dangerous. Be very mindful of that and make sure there's tremendous ventilation if you're even going to consider something like that. And, the little buddies, the propane buddy heaters, the camping type heaters. I have one myself, and it's a lifesaver when you lose all other sources of heat, for sure. But again, be very careful with those type of portable heaters. They can cause fires, and it just can make for a really bad day. So just some things to think about and be real careful. Do not turn your oven on or your stove on and leave the door open and use that as a source of heat. That is extremely dangerous as well. Your oven and your stove is not designed for continuous use, 3, 4, 5 hours, 6 hours. It's not made for that. So don't use your oven or your stove as a source of heat as we go through this event. And also don't forget about your pets, obviously. That's a no-brainer. Make sure your pets are taken care of tonight. And also, if you know someone that may be without adequate heat or in a substandard structure, maybe they don't have really good heat, check on them. And of course, the elderly as well. Make sure they're okay. Everybody using propane heaters need to keep a check on the CO2 levels as well. Buddy heaters have a cutoff, but they're not trustable. Yeah, Absolutely. I mean, you got to make sure you've got good ventilation if you're going to use that type of heat. It's just not advisable to do so if you have any other options. Um, let's see. And folks, I've just now switched back over to the chat side. So if you have already posted some good tips that I didn't cover, please post them again, and we'll sit here and kind of watch and talk about what you are posting. Power is flickering on Country Club Road in Roanoke. Thank you, Brianna. I appreciate that report. Yeah, there's no weather as far as frozen precipitation that would cause that, but a lot of folks electricity is in high demand tonight. And it's certainly possible that we could have some power issues. Most people heat with electricity. I get it. But if we start to lose power, and then that's when folks turn to alternative heat, and that's when things really become dangerous. So use your noggin. The best idea here before you start using indoor portable heat is to put on more clothes. Wrap up in blankets. I mean, the power's going to come back on at some point. I get it. It's not pleasant at all, but I'd much rather you do that than do something that's unsafe and then have a problem. Hey, Sherry Smith, good to see you in here. Gas logs are powered up. Yeah, and that's a good option too if you have that option. If you have gas logs, certainly a good source of heat. Just be real careful. Think about what you're doing, and just don't take any chances out there this evening. I noticed some information coming from the Tennessee Valley Authority earlier today. The Tennessee Valley Authority sells electricity to a lot of the co-ops across North Alabama and North Georgia. And they were sending out notices this afternoon and asking everyone to conserve as much power as possible through these cold nights that lie ahead because the demand is going to be so high. They don't want to get into a brownout situation, and that is a concern across the region. I mean, the Southeast is just not supposed to be this cold. Cold this evening in Meriwether County, Georgia. Hey, Dennis. Good evening, Marcus. Good to see you in here. Jerry Huddleston said, go work out. It's a good option. I'm with you, Jerry. Hit the gym. That'll warm you up real quick. No question, this is the coldest air we have seen since 2022. So, I mean, it's been a couple of years since we have had temperatures this cold across the region. So it is a shock, no question about it. I mean, we do get this cold. I mean, it does happen just about every year, but to have a number of nights in a row with this much cold is a little bit unusual. Watching from Stroud. Hey, Paula. Good to see you in here this evening. I just want to brag on y'all. I mean, I did a live this morning. We did our primetime forecast live this morning, and the last time I looked, and that was about 30 minutes after we finished our live broadcast this morning, we had over 4,000 views. I don't know what it's at now, but that's pretty incredible. We had 4,000 people watching us this morning. Yeah, it is smart to have a carbon dioxide alarm if you're using supplemental heat. Cold and pinning, sure is, Chad. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and we were on with you this morning. Went on about 4 a.m. to kind of let you know that precipitation was moving through, and it was just an incredible number of viewers this morning. Thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate those kind words. And shout out to Woodland, Alabama tonight. Reba is over there on the West Bank, over in Wadley. Thank you. I'm not really sure who made that comment because all it says is Facebook user. You'll see a link scrolling here in the chat room that says to give Dr. Don's Weather permission to show your username on Facebook, click here. It's a Restream link. And actually, Restream is the product that we use to send our signal out to all of our social media platforms. And Facebook says that you have to give Restream permission for me to be able to see your username. So if you're on Facebook, this does not apply to YouTube viewers, but if you're on Facebook, you got to click on that link and give Restream permission to show me your username, or I don't know who you are. All it says is Facebook user, but I appreciate your comment. All right, so Mandy says they have lost power in Clacksville. So that would make sense if Roanoke's having power flicker on Country Club Road, then that would make sense because that's in that direction. Hey, Wendy, good to see you over there in Wadley, Alabama. Hey, Mary. Thank you, guys. I appreciate all the kind words. I'm just excited about being able to sit here and talk to you, not have to be staring at a million weather models. I'm telling you, boy, it was a long weekend. We were off yesterday up here in White County, Georgia. But I don't feel like it was nonstop all weekend. I mean, nothing major happened, but we're just trying to see what was going on. Dr. Drake in the house. Hey, boy. Dr. Drake and Remington. Newside, Alabama. There's Jennifer. All right, so there's the link. You Facebook folks need to click on that link to give Restream the authority to show me who you are. So be sure and do that when you see that scroll up in the chat room, because I'm seeing a lot of folks in here, and all it's telling me is Facebook user. If you've already done that, then you don't have to do it again. But if this is your first time on here, or if you've never done it before, be sure you click on that link. Yeah, Cecilia, I agree with you. There's just not a whole lot to say other than it's just ugly cold outside. Brutal. Let me take you down here and show you the current radar. And that's a look at some current temperatures across the area. We got 23 down there at Lynette. We're reporting 21 in Auburn, 23 in Alexander City. Alabaster is at 21 degrees now. It's 19 over in Birmingham. We've got 19 up there in Anniston, 18 in Carrollton. Then looking at some local gauges across Randolph County, I'm showing 19 in Wedowee, 18 just north of Roanoke, 19 just northeast of Roanoke. It's 20 over in Rock Mills, showing 22 in Wadley, 19 over on Lake Wedowee, got 19 over in Delta. Ashland is checking in at 16 degrees. That's the cold spot at the moment across East Alabama and West Georgia. So you get the golden star, Ashland, Alabama. You're the coldest spot in East Alabama and West Georgia at the moment. 17 in Talladega. Waldo's coming in at 18. Showing 20 at New Site. Franklin has 25. It's 22 over in Greenville. Noonan has 22. Got 25 in Columbus. Montgomery showing 24. I mean, it's in the low 20s all the way down to the Gulf Coast. We got 23 down there at Greenville. Fairhope is showing 27. Pensacola, 27. 29 degrees at Gulf Shores at this hour. And you know there's a sea breeze. There always is. That'd be horrible. I mean, it's 32 degrees out there on Dauphin Island right now. You don't see that very often. Panama City has 36. 27 in Dothan. Let me look at some North Alabama temperatures. This will be interesting. Franklin, Tennessee, it is 9 degrees. Lewisburg, Tennessee, it is 3 degrees. -2 at Mount Pleasant, Tennessee. Mount Pleasant is southwest of Nashville. 8 degrees in Florence. Showing 16 in Decatur. Scottsboro is 14. It's 10 degrees on top of Mentone up at Fort Valley, or Valley Head, I should say, up at extreme northeast Alabama, just north of Fort Payne. 17 up there on Lake Gunnersville. 17 in Gadsden. Yeah, I'm showing about 18, 19 degrees across Clay. Hey, folks, understand, I'm going to let a little secret out of the bag here. It's probably not going to make some of the TV stations very happy. When they say it is such and such degrees in your location, especially if it's a very small community, they're averaging the temperatures across the county. They don't have a gauge in your town. Right now, across Clay County, the temperatures are ranging from 16 degrees to 19 degrees. So what they do is they take it, depending on where you're located. They have a computer algorithm that does all this, and they take the average of the temperatures, and depending on where you are in that range, that's how they arrive at that number. But, I mean, it's pretty close. I mean, it is probably about 18 or 19 degrees in Mellow Valley. I mean, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, there was a mess in Birmingham this morning, no question about it. I posted that. It was, 8 or 9 o'clock. We started seeing that. Even I-20, there were accidents out there at the Leeds exit, also at the Pell City exit. And it was a mess around Birmingham this morning. Kimberly, them folks up north need to come get their weather. It's down here and drunk and showing out. They need to come get it and take it back where they got it from. You know what? I like to have a little winter. I said a little winter. This is enough. I'm ready to go back to 72 degrees now. Yeah, I always do. I like to see a little snow. I like for it to last for about 6 hours and then go away. And then that's all I need for the entire winter. If I wanted that all the time, I would live up there. I actually did live in Chicago for 2 years and got enough of that then. Not supposed to do all this down here. This is ridiculous. It is cold, Austin. If you folks get a chance to support us, we ask that you do that as well. The link is scrolling there, and you can support us and help keep us going. There's Warren Guy. Good to see you, Warren. And there goes that link for you Facebook users. It says Facebook users, click here to give Dr. Don yada, yada, yada permission to show your username if you're on Facebook. You don't need to do that if you're on YouTube. So it's coming up on 7:36 Central Time on your Tuesday evening. Don't forget, you are under a hard freeze warning for tonight and a wind chill advisory. Wind chills at times may hit 0 degrees. Now, wind chill that's what it feels like outside. That's not the actual air temperature, but with the wind, that's what it feels like on your skin. Now, 0 is dangerous. Hypothermia and frostbite is a real deal. So don't be exposed to this for long periods of time tonight because it could become very dangerous for you. I hear you, Denise. 2 years of Chicago was enough for me. I couldn't imagine 14 years in Spokane. I know it's gorgeous up there. Boy, those winters. Matthew's telling us that power is out in Clarksville. We were getting reports of power flickering out there on Country Club Road just south of Roanoke a few minutes ago. And if the power's out in Clarksville, then something's happened down in that direction. That's why the power was flickering on Country Club Road, because it's back in that direction. So hopefully you guys will get power back soon. This is not a good night to lose your power. Okay, whoever posted that, Dr. Don, you're the one. I don't know who you are because it just says Facebook user. You've got to click that link that you'll see scrolling every now and then that says Facebook user. Click here so Dr. Don's weather can show your name, because if you don't do that, I can't see who you are. The platform that we use to broadcast our signal to all of our different social media platforms also takes our chat rooms from Facebook and YouTube and combines them. And so Facebook says that Restream, which is the service I use, has to be given permission to show us who you are. So be sure you click on that link. You only have to do it one time. It remembers you. That way I'll know who's making these comments. Otherwise, all I know is you're a Facebook user. Now, there's 2 or 3. Y'all can look at the screen and see what I'm talking about. If that's your message, if you want us to know who you are, and if you don't, that's fine. But if you want us to know who you are, you got to click that link that scrolls up the screen ever so often. That allows us to see your username. Any other good tips, cold weather tips? Anybody got any more good cold weather tips we'd like to share with everybody before we get out of here? Joe says it's 17 degrees on his front porch now. And Joe's back in there toward Corinth. It's a little colder over there in that part of the country. Roads are fine, Annette. As far as I know, the wind and the sun we had this afternoon should have dried the roads up really good. Now, look, folks, and I know there's a lot of dirt roads across East Alabama, and that may be an exception. Those roads that are not in really good shape, and I know I'm fixing to open a can of worms. I see you on Facebook. I know I'm fixing to open up a can of worms here, but those dirt roads that are not in really good shape, that are muddy right now because of the rain we've had, those jokers are going to freeze back over tonight. So if you're traveling rural, unimproved dirt roads, across East Alabama and West Georgia, be extremely careful. But the blacktop should be fine. We really should have dried up pretty good this afternoon. And that's probably the best tip of them all right there, Jason. Cold weather tip. Get you a Dr. Don weather mug. Get you a coffee cup. Let me show you. And that link is also scrolling in the chat room as well. And there's the coffee cup. And all you got to do is follow that link, and you can purchase a coffee cup. We've also got the embroidered baseball caps. We've got sweatshirts. There's your T-shirt. And all you got to do is hit that link that you see scrolling in the chat room to go over there. Now, understand, when you purchase one of these items from our merch store, it is helping support us here on Dr. Don's Weather as well. So, cold in Carrollton. Hey, Nancy. 16 in Woodland. Gray Hill area. Roads good, but a lot of ice still on trees. I can buy that, especially up there in Gray Hill. I almost bought the farm in Gray Hill. The big curve, the big hill at Gray Hill. When I was the EMA director for Randolph County, I was out one night. We had a very similar situation to this, and I was determined I was going to find some ice or snow. So I was headed to Graham, and I go up County Road 87. I'm going through Gray Hill up there, and you know exactly where I'm talking about. Right off into the ditch. And yes, I had to get on the fire radio and call to get dispatch to send me a wrecker. And, of course, every volunteer firefighter in Randolph County heard it on their radio. And so you know what I caught for the next several months every time I saw somebody. I was a little bit embarrassed. Learned a very valuable lesson that night. From that point forward, when it started icing up there on the hill, I stayed in Roanoke. Rock Stand's about as far north as I was going to go after that episode. County roads to Woodland, Wadley, and Wedowee in the morning at 6 a.m. should be fine, Maggie. All the water's gone. Hey, Sandy Knight down there in Chambers County. I don't anticipate any travel problem around the area in the morning. What dampness was left out there on the roads should have gone away this afternoon. We had ample sunshine. That radiational heating, that'll evaporate water. And we had a good bit of wind, and that'll zap it up real quick also. So I would not anticipate any problems in the morning. It's going to be bitterly cold at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. I mean, folks, you need to get up a little bit early. You need to go outside and start your automobile and run back inside and let your automobile warm up a little bit. Give that heater a few minutes to kick in so that when you come back out and get in your automobile, make sure all the ice is off your windshield if there is any. And just be safe. Get up a little early tomorrow morning. Give yourself a little extra time. Drive a little slower. I mean, there should be nothing on the roadways at all, but use a little common sense. I mean, slow down and just be very mindful of what you see in front of you. Deer become a problem when it's this cold too. They'll bed down in the middle of the night when it's this cold, especially if it's still a little windy in your location. They'll bed down, but I would venture to say that probably tomorrow morning right at sunrise, they're going to be up and moving. You know what happens when they start jumping across those roads, so be careful. Temple, Georgia. Hey, Carla. It really was odd up here in northeast Georgia. We are about Yeah, we're about 20 miles, maybe 25 miles south of Blairsville, Georgia, which is on the north side of the Appalachian Mountain. And we're on the south side of the mountain. I actually live on top of the first mountain peak you see as you head up 985. If you go to Gatlinburg that way, you come up through Atlanta on 85, and then you go up 985 or 441. I'm on that first peak you can see, the first mountain you can see coming north out of Atlanta, about 60 miles north of Atlanta. And so we were expecting to get some precipitation up here. We didn't get a drop. I mean, we had some rain right before sunrise this morning, but we were like at 37 degrees when that was taking place, and all the precipitation stopped. The roads dried up real good, and then the temperature bottomed out about 9 o'clock this morning, 9 or 10 o'clock. And when I say it bottomed out, I mean like within an hour. We went from 36, 37 degrees to below freezing, and then it's been steadily dropping all day long. That's pretty much the same thing everybody's had across the southeast. The temperature just went south quickly. Hey, Rodney, thank you for that comment. I appreciate it. 27 in Columbus. Yeah, that's exactly what I've got on my on our radar. We are showing that 27. See it right down there? There's Columbus right there. Oh, bless you, Rhonda. I'm going to go ahead and start praying for you now. Traveling to Atlanta Airport tomorrow night. Weather-wise, it'll be fine. It's going to be cold tomorrow night, but there will be no weather issues. Yeah, that's Wednesday night. We will have more rain Thursday night. But no issues flying out of Atlanta tomorrow night, other than the fact that it's Atlanta. Are you flying away, or are you going to pick somebody up? I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm just curious. I mean, that's not going to change the weather. Oh, by the way, folks, I might have got a little. I don't think irritated is the right word to use, but a little. I was tired last night. I mean, I was just tired, and all right, who posted that? Yeah, Chance, be careful about that, because we've got a bot that will tag that as spam. I know that's not your intent, but that's a very long post, and it will tag you, and you will not be able to post anything else in our chat room. So, need to be real careful about posting the posts that long. So I might have got a little bit frustrated last night. Someone asked me a question, a pinpoint question, a what about question, and I referenced the Dr. Don crystal ball. I got one ordered, and it's going to say Dr. Don's weather on it. So maybe by the next time we have weather and we spend time together, I'll hold up that crystal ball and we'll all gaze into it together and see if we can prognosticate exactly what's going to happen at a particular location across the area. We're just having fun with it, folks. I know no harm intended, but I do have a Dr. Don crystal ball on the way. It's going to help me with my forecast. Oh, wait a minute. Let me go back up here and see what Rhonda said. It went by a little too fast. Well, where'd it go? Picking up Aunt Sing from California. From California. Does she live out there, or was she out there visiting? If she lives out there, she's in for a shock. Of course, if she flew out of Los Angeles, she probably isn't, because that's worse than Atlanta. Well, good for her. I hear folks are leaving California in droves. Yeah, she'll love it here in the South. And you already know that. Correct, Sherry. And I may just very well start doing that. We may start a little side gig and use the crystal ball and start giving everybody's horoscope, predicting the future. Thank you, Shirley. I appreciate your kind words up there from Graham, Alabama. All right, let me show you the graphic one more time. Again, folks, don't forget, and you've been watching it scroll there at the bottom of the screen, we are under a hard freeze warning for tonight, and also a wind chill advisory has been issued for very cold temperatures. Wind chills dipping down to around 0 tonight. I mean, that's what the weather looks like outside. Snowmageddon that didn't happen. Wasn't supposed to. It wasn't supposed to. Let me get that started. We were never supposed to have snow, and we did not have snow. We started talking about this event, folks, 3 weeks ago. You'll remember, at least 3 weeks ago, we were talking about this big, huge Arctic outbreak that was headed, that would head toward the southeastern United States. And the entire time, those of us who were being honest with you and not just trying to get click-throughs, told you the entire time, we started seeing these big, huge snow forecasts out there on social media, and I'm like, don't buy into that. It's too early. Nobody knows. There's no way to know this early. Can someone guess and ultimately roll the dice and be right? Yeah, they can, but there's no science in predicting something like that far in advance. And we were telling you those 2-3 weeks leading up to this, it's too early. And then when we got close enough to start really seeing the resolution on this, I told you the entire time there would be no measurable snow for East Alabama and West Georgia, and there was not. As a matter of fact, I haven't even seen reports of snow. Maybe a flurry here and there, but no snow. You had to really go up into North Alabama to see that. So the forecast actually turned out pretty good. The only thing that I think was a little bit off was the timing of the cold air. I think it got held up in Alabama. Imagine that. I don't think it moved across Alabama as quickly as we originally thought it was going to. It didn't even make it up here to northeast Georgia until, like I said, 9 or 10 o'clock this morning. So the cold air was a little bit late in arriving, maybe by about 4 to 6 hours. But it was a pretty good forecast overall. I mean, the Weather Service did a really good job on this. And understand, folks, I am not a meteorologist. I've been doing this a long time. I got interested in weather when I was like a teenager. But I've been doing this either on radio or television or social media or in a public safety role my entire professional career, and that's been a long time. So I've learned a lot. But what I do is I take the forecast that the National Weather Service develops, and I bring that to you in a term that you can understand, and try to relay information that I'm seeing on the back end, because being in the role of emergency manager, I have access to stuff that's not generally out there to the general public. And so that helps me, coupled with real world experience, and I've gotten where I understand it pretty good, even though I didn't go to Mississippi State and get that education. I wish that I had now, looking back on it, but you know what? God put me here for a reason, in this role for a reason, to do exactly what I'm doing for an area of Alabama and Georgia that doesn't get this type coverage. And with modern technology the way it is, this has worked out pretty doggone good. I mean, we're in our 5th year of coverage here on Dr. Don's Weather, and we hope that we're here 5 more years. And as long as you guys want us and you keep supporting us, we'll be here for you. I guarantee you. So let me go down here and show you again the predicted overnight lows for tonight. There we go. We're talking the low teens across East Alabama and West Georgia. We get into the single digits up there along the I-20 corridor and north. Places like Birmingham, probably 9 degrees. Gadsden, probably going to hit about 8 degrees. We're going to go to 4 up there in Huntsville, and look at that, -1. Up in the Shoals tonight. That is the expected overnight low. And then for tomorrow, it's going to be short sleeve weather. Look there. We're going to make it to 40 degrees in LaGrange tomorrow, probably about 38, 39 degrees in Roanoke. We will hit the upper 30s all across East Alabama and West Georgia. Down there in Columbus, we're talking about 44 tomorrow afternoon. And then we go back into another cold night across the area tomorrow night. There's your forecast. We're talking about 20 degrees for your overnight low on Wednesday. Thursday, mostly sunny for most of the day. Could get cloudy in the afternoon. 49 will be the high on Thursday. Then we'll give you a 70% chance of rain, all liquid on Thursday night. A cold rain, overnight low of around 39. And then on Friday, it's back to full-blown sunshine, 43 your high, but with that reinforcing cold front coming through, 14 degrees on Friday night into Saturday morning. So it'll be much like tonight. And then on Saturday, maybe the coldest day of this entire stretch. We're only talking about 34 for your high on Saturday, down to 16 on Saturday night into Sunday morning, 42 on Sunday, 24 during the overnight on Sunday night. Then I think the Arctic blast is done. There are no signals coming from the long-range computer models right now that indicate that this pattern is going to continue. As a matter of fact, the long-range forecast is suggesting that next week we are unseasonably warm for this time of year. Now, that's not swimming weather warm, but comparatively speaking, it will be. So I think if we can make it through this week and this weekend, at least the next week beyond that, and probably is the way it looks right now, through the end of January, is going to be flipped. We're going to be unseasonably warm all the way toward the end of January. We can't really see with any source of confidence what February and March looks like, but we've still got February and March to go. And if you watch the weather and keep up with it, historically speaking, some of our biggest snows have come in March. So we still got a ways to go, and we probably will have more cold spells before winter 24 is in the record books. But at least there is some light at the end of the tunnel with this cold snap that we're falling off into right now. If we can just make it through Sunday night, we're going to be okay. Now, that's going to be, with the exception of Thursday night where we should stay above freezing, we're looking at 4 nights of well below freezing temperatures. That's going to put a little stress on those pipes too, and the roads. I know y'all don't want to hear this across Randolph County because, well, the roads are what they are. I'm not going to start that conversation here, but that freeze-thaw cycle, man, that doesn't help your cause at all if you live on one of those roads. It just destroys pavement. The dirt roads turn to mush. It's just not good. To to take this roller coaster ride that we're going to continue on through the remainder of this upcoming weekend. So there's kind of a recap on what we're looking at weather-wise. The clock's telling me my time is up. I thank you all for joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate all of your support through this entire event. I have not planned on doing any more Weather Talk Lives for this event, but Weather Talk Live is going to be coming along at least once a week now. We'll still trying to figure out on the exact timing and what day of the week we're going to do it on. We may move it around, but I'll certainly post on Facebook and let you know well in advance when we're going to do a Weather Talk Live. It's just an opportunity for us to kind of come together and talk about weather in general, answer any questions that you may have, and try to keep you safe across East Alabama and West Georgia. Y'all stay warm out there. It's dangerously cold. And if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see you back in here tomorrow morning by 6 a.m. with your primetime forecast on Dr. Don's weather. Good night, folks.